Public trust in government has hit historic lows. The legislative machinery designed to serve the electorate has ground to a halt. We are trapped in a system where current lawmakers benefit from the exact rules that voters are desperate to change. Citizens often demand immediate overhauls, like the total elimination of the Electoral College. But passing a massive constitutional amendment is a functional impossibility in a system that can barely pass a routine budget. The American Ideas Blueprint maps out 22 distinct structural reforms required to repair the system, organized into 6 distinct phases. Fixing American democracy requires a rigid procedural sequence. Success at Tier 6 is tied directly to the execution of Tier 1. Phase 1 serves as the foundation, citizens casting their ballots in every single election, from the local township board to the presidency. Organizing at this scale utilizes the snowflake model. Instead of a single leader, volunteers act as autonomous co-owners of the campaign, building self-starting teams that expand resources and move neighbors up a ladder of engagement. Even if this grassroots effort installs willing lawmakers, those representatives immediately face a procedural bottleneck in Phase 2, the Senate's 60-vote cloture rule. Point 7 clears this bottleneck. The Senate eliminates the filibuster via the nuclear option, establishing a new procedural precedent with a simple majority vote. Removing that hurdle allows the legislature to pass national statutory laws without a supermajority, clearing the path for the rest of the blueprint. With the filibuster gone, Phase 3 focuses on electoral mechanics. This includes universal ranked choice voting and public campaign funding to reduce the reliance on wealthy donor networks. Point 21 neutralizes partisan gerrymandering. By handing district drawing authority to neutral algorithms, voting maps are defined by population data rather than political advantage. Simultaneously, Point 9 expands the House of Representatives. Currently, the average congressional district has reached over 700,000 constituents. Adding more seats lowers that ratio and restores the People's House. After securing fair elections, Phase 4 enforces strict internal accountability. This means legislating mandatory blind trusts and banning stock trading for all 3 branches of government. Point 11 anchors lawmakers to the lived reality of their constituents by capping their salaries and healthcare options to the median of the districts they represent. Point 16 applies this same accountability to the Supreme Court, establishing an enforceable code of conduct and 18-year term limits to restore public trust. Securing a transparent, accountable legislature is the necessary prerequisite before delegating the power to overhaul national policies. Phase 5 shifts the nation's priorities. The blueprint legally mandates that public education spending matches the military defense budget, dollar for dollar. To fund this investment, Point 20 returns corporate tax rates to pre-Reagan levels, closing loopholes and encouraging companies to reinvest profits into American workers and infrastructure. Point 17 honors the nation's secular roots by removing Cold War-era religious mottos from our currency and restoring the original motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. Once the legislature is ungerrymandered and accountable to the public, Phase 6 becomes possible. A functional Congress can finally achieve the supermajority required for constitutional amendments. This is the mechanism used to overturn the Citizens United ruling and permanently ban corporate donations. It facilitates the elimination of the Electoral College, the removal of presidential immunity, and the constitutional codification of bodily autonomy. These final protections depend entirely on the successful execution of the 5 tiers that came before them. When the full structure is illuminated, the logic is clear. Every tier in the 22-point blueprint pulses upward, with each level providing the structural support for the next. Democracy requires active, ongoing maintenance of its structural foundations. Reaching the constitutional amendments at the top of the tree is structurally impossible without the citizen action at the bottom. Local organization is the engine of the sequence. By building relational commitments and training new leaders at the township level, citizens trigger the legislative cascade. Strictly following this procedural roadmap ensures that the voice of the common voter becomes the most influential force in American politics.